Good afternoon to all of you. I welcome you to this session on RDBMS Lab. In today's session, I'm going to discuss the joins and the subqueries with you. For this, I've created the three tables that the example we took in our models discussion. We have the suppliers table, we have the parts table, and we have the shipments table. Okay. And I've created these tables for you. You can have a look. This is the S table containing these values. Then we have a P table containing the information about the parts. Then we have a SP table, which tells us that which part is supplied by which supplier in what quantity, right? So now let's discuss a few queries, right? So let's write the first query. Say display details of all parts supplied by supplier S2. Okay, I want to see the details of all parts supplied by supplier S2. This is my query. Okay, so you can see here supplier S2 supplies P1 and P2. You can see here in this list. So I want the description of the parts P1 and P2. That means I want an output like P1 nut 100 red London and P2 bolt 200 black London. That is my problem. I want to know about this query, right? So what we can do is to answer this query, I can write a subquery, okay? And in subquery, usually the outer query is what we want to display. So we want to display details of all parts supplied, right? So I'll pick up the display as select star from P because parts information is here in P, right? So select star from P. Obviously, the key here would be the primary foreign reference. So that would be PNO and then in, because our inner query, the subquery is going to return multiple values. Let's see how. And you know that in the inner query, we write the column name after select whatever is written after where. Okay, so we write here select PNO from SP. So in effect, what we are doing is we are joining these two tables now, this P table and SP table. We can do so because there is a common column in both these tables, and that is PNO. PNO here is the primary key and PNO here is the foreign key. So we can join these tables, but we are right now we are writing it in the shape of a subquery. So select PNO from SP where the condition is that supplied by supplier S2. So we can easily write SNO is equal to S2. That's it. So now let's see how this query functions. First, the inner query. See, select PNO from SP where SNO is equal to S2. So this will return two rows. Okay. This will return two rows. So which PNOs will it return? It will return P1 and P2. Right? P1 and P2 because S2 supplies P1 and P2. So if this returns P1 and P2, this query becomes select star from P where PNO in P1 comma P2. That's why I've written an in because this is returning multiple values. This is a multi-row subquery. Okay. So when I run this, obviously I'll see the details of the parts P1 and P2. So this is a query, subquery involving two tables. We can go ahead and write it for another query which involves three or more also, right? So let me write another query, okay, for you. Say the same query we can do with a join also. Let's see how. So I can write here select star from, I can write here P comma SP. So I'm joining P and SP, right? Where P dot PNO is equal to SP dot PNO. This is my join condition. And I can write here SNO is equal to S2. Okay. You can see it will return the similar values. But since it is a join, so it will display all the columns from both the tables. You can restrict that by taking care of this star here, right? So what I can do is I can just modify it here, this star here, if I need the part information. If I write PNO here, okay, then I can write P name, then I can write color, then I can write weight, and then I can write city. Okay. And you also know that when I run this, this might give me an error because of this P and no, which is present in both the P and SP table. So it will give me an error regards to an ambiguous column, right? You understand, we have discussed this thing. So how to modify that? We can qualify this P and no with either P or SP. You know this thing, we have discussed these things in our joins already. Okay, so have a look at these two outputs. The one returned by this and the one returned by this is the same. This is a join. This is a Oracle proprietary join style, if you remember. Okay, now I'll write it using another join. Okay, let's take the SQL 1999 compliant join. Okay, where we write here where P join SP. And then we write here using, if you remember, using, we simply write the column which is common. And of course, your additional condition like this. Okay. And when you are using the using clause in a natural join, or sorry, in a join using, then you don't qualify any column names here. Okay. There's some problem here. Let's check what's that. I think we need to write here where. Yeah. So when you are mentioning additional conditions in your SQL 99 compliant joins, this is the way you write it. See here, you write the columns that you need to display. Okay. And even if there are ambiguous columns, no problems in this using clause when you use this using clause. Okay. And the syntax is from P join SP using this. And if you have additional conditions, they start with where. So where. This is first condition. If more conditions are there, you can use and to join, right? Then another way of writing it would be using the on clause. If you remember, using the on clause where you can write P dot, you need to write the condition here, right? So I'm just revising all the concepts for you, okay? And when you use the on clause, then remember, I'll first do it incorrectly. It will give you an ambiguity sort of thing, if you remember, because when we use the on clause, where we mention the condition, the join condition, in using, we simply use the common column. When we use the on clause, we give the condition here, and this becomes ambiguous. Okay, this becomes ambiguous. So this will give you an ambiguous answer, right? So again, you can correct it. You can correct it like this. From just qualify the table name before it, maybe P or SP is your choice is yours. You get this answer. So see, one query we have written using so many techniques, using the old style of joins, using the SQL 99 compliant joins, using a subquery, right? So you can write a query in many ways, depending upon what is your style and what way you want to express your data. So that's all for today's lab session. I'll meet you again in another lab session where we'll be discussing the PLSQL programming. Till then, keep watching my videos. Thank you very much.